Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Transformation. So, here's a question most leadership books will not ask you. What if the best thing you could ever do for your team was to vanish? Not abandon them, not check out, but become so good at what you do that when you take a holiday or you go off for a day to a conference, everything runs better than when you're there. So, today's guest wrote an entire book about this and other things called Leading Magnanimously, and he has chosen radical service as his North Star. I am totally delighted to welcome Andrew Brummer, fractional executive mentor, founder of the Ardunan Village, and author of You Decide and Leading Magnanimously. Andrew, welcome to Let's Talk Transformation.
Thank you so much, Susie. I appreciate being here and I appreciate your kind words.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you on the show, Andrew. I know that you have devoted your time and energy to service, and but not only, because you also help boards and executive teams in today's world govern AI before it governs them. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
So you work before organizations start crystallizing around the wrong assumptions or
yeah,
the behavioral patterns that they're working with today. And that's a tall order and clearly a quest we share. But you've also built a reputation and a leadership system where your teams will follow you anywhere. And your team at LifeQ actually coined you chief of all the things no one wants to do, which I'm going to frame as a compliment. We can discuss that later, but today we're going to be delving into what that means for leadership and resilience and how to build a culture of trust, heart, and intention that we all need so strongly in an AI world.
yeah,
So, a couple of words just before we get into it. Your book, Leading Magnanimously,
yeah,
which I thoroughly enjoyed, is not leadership theory. It's a practitioner's field guide. It's raw, it's personal, and it's sometimes uncomfortable, which means we're learning,
yeah,
or it's hitting a raw spot for the reader.
yeah.
But what I love with it, the idea at the heart of it, I think, is that every leader listening also needs to wrestle with what if your obsession with being needed is the very thing that's holding your team back?
Yeah.
And I love that. It made me stop. It made me think more than once. Um, so can we start there, Andrew? You referenced this beautiful TED talk by Ite Talgam about orchestra conductors. And being a cellist myself, it particularly spoke to me. And the conductor basically sits back and does nothing in inverted commas, while the orchestra plays magnificently. And that's what you describe as the leadership style that you strive for, doing without doing, so to speak.
Yeah.
When did you first realize, Andrew, that the most powerful thing a leader to do can do is actually get out of the way?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you when I learned. I think it was an evolution of journey. I'm very much of a Mr. Fix-It, and I
Mm,
had to eat some humble pie to stop fixing things. I had to learn to stop getting involved and stop trying to help people get stuff working correctly. And get myself into a boat that I was part of the team versus the person that was always getting the awards. And there were so many times I got awards and I'd go to my management structure and tell them, please, you need to stop awarding me because you're setting a bad precedence for the team. You're not creating a cohesive togetherness, you're
mm,
creating individual divisiveness. And what I learned over time is the more you can get people, and this was just a journey of time. I don't know that there was a moment, the more you can get people, the more you can help people find the beauty and the brilliance in themselves and give them the confidence that they are great at doing what they're doing. They just need to take a chance. Like a baby takes that first step, it
mm,
just looks at the parent's arms, and the parent's arms are in front of the child, and that child takes its first step. It does it in absolute faith that and the knowledge and the guidance that that parent's going to be there. And I learned that the more you do that with people over time, when I was working with people and working with clients and smaller teams, the more you do that, actually, the more you get out of that.
mm.
And it's counterintuitive because as you mentioned, leaders traditionally we need to justify ourselves,
Yeah.
warrant ourselves, we need to feel needed. We believe that by making ourselves busy, we make ourselves indispensable, and
Mm,
that's actually the wrong thing to do.
mm,
Because by doing that, you limit yourself in terms of how far you can grow as a human being, but you also then you put a governing limitation around people around you. And I learned just to take the gloves off, just take the guardrails off and help people grow wherever they can grow. And some people will lean into it and be just magnificent, and other
Mm,
people will just be comfortable and just be okay with it. And
mm,
there's no bad in it. It's just I found it to be a fantastic experience.
mm. I agree, but it's hard, isn't it? When
Very. Oh,
let's say, for most people and for most organizational cultures, the one who does the work and delivers the results is where their identity lives as a
correct.
leader. So,
Correct.
it's very ego driven, and the system rewards and keeps that going. So, how did you detach your ego from the doing? Because for me, the biggest shift that all leaders are undergoing at the moment is ego to eco, I like to call it. So, how do you detach yourself from not only your ego, but also your identity in the organization and your identity in your team,
Yeah.
and take enough clarity? And I love the fact that you say that you work with clarity, not frameworks, and that's it's so true. So, how did you get that clarity on detaching who you are from what you deliver?
I think where it actualized was at LifeQ in February of 2020, coinciding with COVID. We
Mm,
had to do an organizational scale down, and I was given the task of pulling together the operational entity within the organization. And and I knew at that point I did not know very much about what the company did or how it did what it did. I knew the end why. I
mm,
knew
mm,
what the objectives were, but I had no understanding of how it did what it did. So for me to try and learn
mm,
what it was doing so that I could get in and actually be an actual contributor to the day-to-day product would have been an inordinate waste of everybody's time. I would have distracted people. I would have it would have been taken me forever to get up to the speed and the capability of the people that were around. So I think there was a logical shift that I turn there to say, let me take everything I've learned in building these things, in
mm,
building teams and working with people, and let me actualize it now. Let me actually, through force of situation, we had to re-gear very fast, and
mm,
we laid off the entire company, and we re-onboarded about 40% of the company. So you can just imagine the emotions, the anger, everything
mm,
that was involved, and then me being thrown in the midst of it to say we need you to pull this thing together. That was a tough road, and at that point is when I stepped back, and there was no choice really. And what I saw come out of it was a benefit larger than I had imagined I could experience out of it. What I saw come out of it is that if you do step back and allow the people to be as brilliant as they are and not govern them, and give them autonomy. At first, there's intense distrust. There was an absolute deep level of distrust that there
mm,
was an ulterior motive here because of everything we've just been through. It probably took, I don't know, hey, 9, 10 months, 11 months before I saw a shift
mm,
in the behavior because the people that my team were just seeing I showed up the same way, said the same things, did the same things, meant what I said, did what I said I was going to do, and I not once did I step in to do people's work, belittle them, or tell them how they should be operating. And
mm,
when I saw the benefits of it start turning out, I was just like, this is everything that I've been working towards and everything that I've been building. And then actualizing it was seeing it materialize. And what I found the key, the root key, if you say, how did it work? The root key was giving the team space to
mm,
become loyal and love itself and to
mm,
keep myself outside of that and
mm,
allow the team to be the team. And when the team did that, I benefited from that. In hindsight, I saw what I did, but at the moment of doing it, I didn't really understand why it was working so voraciously well. And in hindsight, I saw it was I'd removed myself as a leader out of the way of the team and allowed the team to learn itself, to define itself. I gave them those three rules, three
mm.
three social contracts, and the team defined everything else. I didn't define anything. I stuck by those three rules, and the team knew those are the three unequivocal rules. And not to go. And just for those not read the book, it is don't let me get caught with my pants down.
Yeah.
You own what you do, and 6 month resignation window. Not for me, but for the team and the people that you're working with, and that you have grown and that have grown you. In the grace of them and the kindness of them, give them the decency of letting them know that you're moving on.
Mm. I mean, that's an incredibly intentional and transparent social contract.
Yeah.
Has it ever backfired on you, Andrew? Because that's a lot of vulnerability.
Yeah.
for a leader of any team to
Yeah.
say, okay, I'll give you trust up front unconditionally, and not make people earn it, which is part of what you're proning in your book, which I wholly follow. But it's hard, isn't it? And it's vulnerable. So, I think
Very
it's
hard.
it's interesting to say, has it blown up in your face ever?
Yes, it has.
And
Yes,
what
it
what did that
absolutely has
cost
blown
you?
up. Um, I would say it didn't. So a couple of things. First, it has blown up because I've had people not adhere to the social contract, and there you
Mm,
have to make a decision to move the people on, move them out, and let them
mm,
go their separate way. And you have to do that quickly, as I reference in the book. Not
yes,
inhumanely, but do
yes.
it smartly, do it quickly, and move them out. Where it blew up in my face was in two scenarios. Um, One where we had to go, when we went through layoffs, I had to take people that were of the core of what created that energy and that bond inside of the group, and we had to do operational scale downs, and that was
Hard.
done based on organizational value.
Mm,
And there you take what that that's where the loyalty tablet was a really tough one, because people say, at the end of the day, you can be loyal and you just get a gold watch, which is why what the team did was they were loyal to one another
mm,
in how they did things. But they still felt a slight. They were still slighted when we had to do the scale downs.
mm,
And there were some team members that I had to let go that was really, really tough. So that backfired, and it took a good while for those relationships to repair themselves or to come back. And then at the tail end of all of that, as the company continued on some of its challenges, I had got the organization running so efficiently around without me that the organization didn't need me. And that caught me a little bit off guard. I wasn't ready for that exit, and the scale down that came with that, and that's what caused me to repivot and to pivot myself and get myself into the state I am today.
mm. And I think two things come off that for me. One around intent,
Yep.
and the other around network. So if I come to intent and you write that it's your number one measure of any person, and it's like, it's like the smell of yesterday's burnt food. I like that. You can try and mask it, but everybody knows was the explanation of
Yep.
that analogy. But it really spoke to me. Somebody once called you the business polygraph. Okay, I know that. Can you actually smell? I'm going to take the same analogy, Andrew. Can you
Yep.
smell intent? And what
Yep.
does bad intent smell like, therefore?
Oh, that. So the first part of that question is really, that's easy. The answer is yes. And
Yeah.
there is sometimes I can smell it,
Mm,
but I'll go to someone and people know I'll do this with my hands. I'm like, there's something there.
mm,
I just can't touch it yet. I can't. I'm a firm believer in touching the boogeyman, touching the thing that you're scared of, because when you
mm,
touch it, you can address it. And I'm like, I can't feel it. I know there's something there, but something's not stitching together
mm,
for me.
mm.
There is a missing piece here. And often it's a tiny piece of information or insights that you don't have. In terms of how, gosh, and tell you how, hey, I have an ability to walk into an oil and gas plant right now. I could switch off of this discussion and go to an oil and gas plant and talk about their line of business, and straight after that go into a SaaS, and then straight after that go into retail. And I'm able to embrace, because I'm not bound by
Mm,
the how I do what I do. I'm more bound in the outcome of what I'm at,
mm,
and then I apply at any one point. I apply my skills to it. It's just intuitive for me to walk in and listen to what's being told and find the incongruencies. Now, that could be a combination of people, body
mm,
language, words that are used, situational descriptions, conflicting triangulation
mm,
that of information that takes place. And a lot of the time, my stitching together of that is happening subconsciously. So if you say to me, Andrew, go teach someone how you do what you do, that's really tough, because
yeah,
it's like I just know it. I can just feel
yeah,
what's going on here. And many times I don't actually know, but I use the Socratic method to then ask questions and just draw
yeah.
people out and try to do positive assumptive validation. So I don't
Mm,
throw accusatory statements, but positive assumptive statements to try and draw people out, to get them to talk and engage. And by soliciting, by actually listening, right?
mm, mm,
What half of our society does really well, stop and listen
yeah,
without having a predisposed answer that I want to give you, but actually listen, hear you
mm,
talk. I then start asking, and I can then start figuring out, where do I go with this, with what the discussion is, to solicit either a confirmation that something's odd or a confirmation that, you know what, Andrew, you're just so far out in the left field, you've lost the plot here, you thought you smelled something and there's nothing there.
Mm,
But so
mm,
I always go, and I mean, up until yesterday, I was coaching a founder where I'm like, now that we know we have this possible worst possible outcome, you now have to reset your emotions, your mind, and your energy going into it, so that you can have clear mind, so that your next set of questions can be unjaded, unfiltered, unmasked, but be as caring, as graceful, as kind, as loving, as inquisitively driven without an accusation or judgment behind them.
mm,
So always doing that reset so that you're always going in every discussion from the ground of that to say that it is going to be the best discussion or the best discovery or the best outcome you can. Because
mm.
when you go in with that, the information you yield out of that can be astounding. And that's a very long-winded answer to a very complex question that I don't think I have a good answer for.
But what I'm hearing is a superpower. And what I'm hearing is an ability, and I'm going to come right back to where we started. This is what happens in an orchestra for me, an
Yes.
ability to listening to what isn't being said or isn't being played, let's put it that way, reading the energy
Yeah.
and making sure that we're aligned on the
Yeah.
symphony.
Yeah.
And that happens at the beginning of every rehearsal, even if you're rehearsing the same symphony, of course. And when you get new people in either the instrument you play or the rest of the orchestra, of course, it's always a different mix. And I'm hearing that I think it's really interesting and it's a total superpower today, Andrew, because it's that's what you said. You work with organizations before they crystallize around the wrong assumptions. So you're essentially surfacing invisible
Yeah.
patterns of either behavior or
Yeah.
feelings or leadership or culture that otherwise they wouldn't be able to build with intent or build
Yeah.
magnanimously.
I think just to add to that, one of the things that allows me to get away with the kind of discussions I have is because and I really have some hard discussions. Sometimes when I play the discussion back with someone, I'm like, damn, that was brave. You really took a chance having that discussion, asking those questions.
Mm,
When I engage with people, I don't cause people to get defensive, to feel like they're being judged or feel like
mm,
they have to defend a stance.
mm.
The way I ask questions and the way I show up is to give the person full credibility, full insight, full trust, and then just be Socratic. Just ask questions, pay an interest, just engage. And that allows me to have some very, very tough discussions in some very graceful, kind, non-affronting ways that then just yields information. It yields a relationship, which then yields outcome. Because if you can get past this Facebook mirror we all put on, right?
Yes.
The Facebook posts are like
Yeah.
everything's great and the world is hunky-dory and my life is beautiful. If you can get past that, then people start having real discussions. And when they know that your intent is not to maximize or weaponize anything you're learning, what happens there is fascinating. Just
Mm.
heart share that takes place after that is, I mean, it's just fascinating. There are no words to describe it.
No, and putting a mask on is a human thing, isn't it? I mean, there's
Yeah.
a Facebook equivalent in all organizations as well.
Yes.
And I think, you're right. Your job as a leader is to love the woven fabric of every individual in the unique
Yep.
way that each fabric wants to and allows itself to be loved. I read that 3 or 4 times,
Ah,
partly because it touched me and partly because I thought, wow, that isn't language you hear in leadership books.
no.
Um, where where did that come from
My mom,
in you, Andrew? Your
my mom,
mum. Okay.
my mom, my
Okay.
mom. There's a lot inside there. My mom's in Ireland now. Beautiful human being. And only as we talk through the book and talk through what I'm doing in life today, since my pivot 2 years ago,
Mm,
we talk about the pivots, we talk about the life impact we're having, and we resurrect so many stories that we went through when I was younger, where she'd coached me intensely and intimately through my entire life. Um, Up until, moving on and doing the young teenage thing where I know more and better and smarter and everything than
yeah.
my parents. Um, but my entire foundation is based on her. It was fascinating. I was with her in January,
Mm.
and we ran through stories and just story after story after story after story. We spoke about. So I'm like, God, that's where I get that from. That's where that philosophy. That's why I'm
But
so dogmatic in that.
what a beautiful legacy
Yeah.
and a beautiful relationship. So, and I can hear in your voice, the respect and the love you have for that relationship. Where does love sit in leadership for you, Andrew? Because there is in my school of thought, there is a place for love in leadership.
Oh, absolutely. So I love my teams that I work with. I love the people. I love them
Mm,
down to the individuals. I love them for what they are and what they aspire to be. I love them for their vulnerability and how they will climb up on the trapeze artist with the on the trapeze poles with the knowledge that me being the net, I'm going to catch them. I
mm,
love that trust that gets there, and most of all, I love watching them grow.
mm,
I think, the world is so full of divisiveness and causality and consequence and cancels and everything. I think that I was just listening to a podcast this morning where they were saying we as adults that are parents of children, we've got to and leaders, we
yeah.
have to stop blaming everything else around us for it not working. We have to introspect and we have to look at where things are at. And the way in which people respond to pure love, dinkum love, I think
Mm,
is fascinating. When people feel love, then when they truly feel it,
mm,
then things can't go wrong.
mm,
They can do something stupid, but they know no matter what it is, that it doesn't matter. We'll just carry on tomorrow. We just keep on moving. We keep on going and nothing changes because it's when you understand the fiber and the intent of the person,
mm,
everything else around execution is about driving towards success and being graceful for things that get broken.
mm,
And I'm not an advocate of just letting people run cavalier, as I write in the book. There's a
mm,
there's a fine balance
yeah.
between all of that. But I absolutely believe uh, here's something novel for you. As a leader, you also have to allow yourself to be loved by your team and allow
Mm,
them to love you in the same way you show your love for them. And that means them giving you space. That means
mm,
them chasing you home. That means them having the right to say, why are you answering your emails on a Saturday? It gives them the right, them the space to love you back. And that is actually harder than loving, to
yes.
allow the team to love the vulnerabilities in you, because then
Mm,
they love the human of you, not the
mm,
title of you.
mm. And it's also part of resilience, isn't it, for me? And I want to come back to your pivot, Andrew, because you pivoted, you've written two books, you volunteer intensely, startup mentoring, the Arduino Village. Where, what does that resilience look like, Andrew? And how did you manage that pivot? Clearly successfully.
Yeah, so it's all states of mind, right? So my youth was riddled with situations that there was no escape from.
Okay.
There were just things that you kind of, you learned what was really serious and what was not serious. You learned that when I woke up tomorrow, again, back to my mom, she used to say to me, Andrew, it doesn't matter what people have said to you yesterday and the situation you're in yesterday. When you get out of bed today, you decide whether yesterday affects you today. And if you take and expand that into everything, so going on a pivot, you can face, and I think one of the things that makes it possible for me is I'm very comfortable with touching the demons. I'm
Mm,
very comfortable with saying, oh crap, I'm in trouble. I'm in a situation now that I don't know what's going to happen. And the worst case scenario is I lose my house. Worst case scenario, right? And I touch that demon. I'll touch it. I'll make peace with it. I'll shake its hand. And then I'll say, right, now what do I need to do to make sure that doesn't transpire? And I apply that as a general philosophy on everything. Because if you don't touch it and you don't talk
mm,
about it, then you will always find a way to kind of work around it, and then that stupid thing stays there. And
mhm,
it subconsciously remains influential in your decisioning. And that's where mindset comes in, is if you can touch it, then mindset allows you to say, right, I've touched it. I understand how bad it can get. Now
mm,
I'm going to make sure I don't get there. Now I have my mindset now to say, I know where it can go. I'm now going to move forward and then just step after step after step, moving in a direction that will make sure it yields positive outcomes. Today I'm involved in 7 AI companies.
mm,
I've just launched my story told to help people write their books. It's not replacing traditional story writing,
mm,
but it's for those people who are never gifted to write books, who don't have the time, the money, the energy, but they've got beautiful stories. I'm working with an 84-year-old who has journaled all her life. She's handwritten journaled, and I can take that because of AI. I can
mm,
take those journal entries and I can help her tell a story of her journal of life, her journey of life for her children, her grandchildren, and her great-grandchildren. So her legacy now doesn't become a video that's on some tape or some hard drive somewhere. It's a book that's on a shelf that has her why, it has
Mm,
her spirit, it has her life
mm,
in there. I mean, what? So leveraging AI to move that forward. So, and I've pivoted dramatically from where I was 2 years
mm,
ago.
mm, mm. Well, I think partly one has to, but also it really reminds me, Andrew, what you just said of the plant the seeds of a tree you'll never sit under,
Yeah,
which I wanted to stop on for a couple of minutes because it's radical service. But also, I was going to ask you how it feeds what you do.
everything. Oh, it
Okay.
touches everything. I mean, it's why my story told got built. It's exactly why I built it. It's why I do all of the volunteer stuff, the one-on-one around the world.
Mm,
It's why I work with the startups. It is incredibly humbling to know that it took me 30 years, 20 years to learn something that when I sit and I've developed the relationship with that founder, that I can convey that learning to
mm,
them
mm,
on that particular domain topic in a 5 minute discussion because I've built the trust with
mm,
them. I've built the right to have the discussion with them and to
mm.
share the insights. And sometimes the discussions land hard, but they're always graceful and always kind. And to watch these young adults pivot, it
Yeah.
it's humbling. I mean, it's humbling to know how dogmatic and difficult I was through my years of refusing to yield, refusing to listen to the wise, always saying I have the answers, I got it, don't worry, leave me alone. And then you're working with these young kids, these young adults,
Mm,
and they just are thirsty and hungry to grow and find another way, which is why for anyone listening to this, if you're 45 and up, there's a world of wisdom that you have to share with the younger generation. You just have to find your voice, find the mutual respect, and find the platform that allows you to engage and share what you've learned, what you know, because they want it. Trust me, they
mm,
want it.
mm,
I mean, they absolutely want
mm,
it.
mm. And it's humbling though, isn't it? I think to that part of leadership of helping other people make their brilliance shine.
Yeah,
Feeding that
I love it.
brilliance, and
Yeah, I love it.
particularly of
I love it.
the younger generation. And I mean, it brings me to AI and AI related things. So you're doing the storybook, but you also narrated your audiobook using AI that you trained to mimic your own voice that even
Yeah.
fooled your family initially.
Yeah,
So,
correct. Yeah, so I used AI to do it, and my son and my wife and I were sitting in the lounge, in the living room, and I put the audiobook on because I was like, I want to see if they can pick up.
mm,
And it took about 2 minutes, 50 odd seconds for my son to look at me, and he looked and says, "That's not you." So that was great. So, and the really cool thing is being able to leverage technology in smart ways that help
mm,
us just create new horizons. I mean, who would have thought using AI? I mean, everyone says, the whole fear mongering around AI is it's going to hurt us and everything. But what a beautiful solution I've been able to cobble together using AI to help people leave their legacy behind.
I know. Yeah.
I can't tell you the number of stories I'm working with where there are stories coming out with people that want to leave their journey, leave their legacy.
Yeah, which was it was a little bit like leading Magnanimously, wasn't it? You wrote it in
Yeah,
4 months and it just sort of started
yeah,
and then
yeah.
just flowed out.
Yes,
Yeah. I mean, I think that's
spot on.
a brilliant example of an opportunity that AI brings for
Yeah,
humanity.
yeah.
What else do you think about what AI is bringing? You talk about loyalty as the linchpin, which, something that can't be bought, can't be forced, has to be willingly given, etc. So when people are increasingly working with AI agents, distributed teams, what happens to loyalty, Andrew? And how do you think
I
they
don't think it
manage it?
changes. I don't think it changes. I think
That's a refreshing answer. Thank you.
no, I really don't think it changes. I think
Mm,
for me, AI. So I do woodworking as well. So one of my
mm,
hobbies is I do woodworking. I built the shop behind me, and
mm,
I built furniture. I am terrible at measurements. I'm the kind of person who cuts once and cuts 10 times and wished I'd measured 10 times. So I mean that's just on me.
mm,
But I've got some really cool tech and hardware in my workshop. But that tech and hardware, along with the beautiful wood I've got lying ready to be used, is useless if I don't understand what it is I want out of this thing. And
Mm,
for me, AI is nothing different than that scenario. I can have the most beautiful wood. I can have the most forward-thinking equipment that is going to protect. I've got a table saw. If I just touch it, the
mm,
bang, it will nick my finger, but it's not going to cut into the finger. And it's fantastic technology. But it would just sit in the garage as a museum piece if I didn't know how to use it. And AI is exactly the same. I think loyalty and the use of AI I don't think they're tied to one another. I think AI is a utility and a tool that we will use for those people who can do critical thinking,
mm,
creative thinking, and focus on outcome-based thinking versus transactional thinking.
mm,
I think AI becomes a really cool way for you to maximize yourself, to
yeah.
multiply yourself, and
Mm,
to start doing the kind of things you dreamt of, but never. I was working with a lady on a Saturday. I spent 30
mm,
minutes with her on a Saturday, an hour with her on the Monday. She was a 12-year-old stay-at-home mom who just got separated and needed to reinvent herself. And she was petrified and dead scared and was worried that nothing was going to transpire. I spent an hour and a half with her, leveraged AI, re-engineered her, took her history profile, reframed it, got her LinkedIn profile up to date, and she went for the interview on Tuesday afternoon and she got the job yesterday.
oh, what a brilliant story.
So it's about how you can help people
Mm,
open their mind about how to use AI. And are you using AI to kind of ask it a Google-esque type question like, what's the weather going to be like today? I mean, that's a lose-lose
mm,
situation.
mm,
If you're saying to it, hey, use my woodwork as a scenario, hey, I'd like to create a wood shelf that I would love to put in my study because I'm going to create a podcast mechanism.
mm,
It's got to be small, unique. I want to be able to put a handful of things on it. This is the wood. This is the equipment I've got. What should I make and how should I go about doing it? That's how you do. That's how to use AI,
mm,
right? And if you can get your head into using AI like that and thinking fundamentally differently, what you get out of it is fantastic.
mm, mm.
However, loyalty is between teams and people. And I think the most important part, what's what I love about AI, is going to bring people back together
Yeah.
because people are going to have all of this tech they're working with. And when they come together, it's going to be over coffee and messing coffees over one another and beers and drunkenness and all the things that come with the humanity of us being human. And not endorsing drinking caffeine or beer, but just
No.
the humanity of us all coming together. I think AI is going to create a
Mm,
platform that creates a thirst in us to have
mm,
people around us. And I
mm,
think that thirst will draw people, and people who learn to use AI will gravitate to those that are using AI.
mm,
And for anyone who's scared to get in front of it, I would implore you just get in front of it. And everyone I coach on AI, I do AI coaching as well.
mm,
Everyone I say to them, if you want to learn how to use AI, log on to your favorite AI tool. Don't have to pay for it, use it for free, and ask it the simple question, is Tarzan a racist story? And then debate with it and have a copy of the book with you and debate with it. And it'll teach you what you can do with AI because it's not fact based. You're not
mm,
dealing with stuff you don't know about. You're dealing with logic and reasoning, and it's a great way to learn what you can get out of AI.
mm. That's a great. Yeah, I'm going to leave our listeners with that. That's a great experiment. But I think it's also about. Well, I'll come back to something we've already touched on. The quality of your thinking, the quality of your questioning. That's what prompt engineering is,
Yep.
asking super questions in a way that will allow you to get the
Yep.
the information that you want. But I also think it means that we have to accept that as human beings we are perfectly imperfect, which
Oh yeah.
which we are,
Oh yeah.
and messy and everything else. How do you see that playing out in the different levels of organizations today, Andrew? Because it's countercultural, isn't it, for organizational culture to actually, for us to be perfectly imperfect?
Yeah. So first of all, on AI is trained on the sum total of human stupidity. And the day AI doesn't need the sum total of our human limited thinking, we will reinvent a whole new world. And
Mm,
I look forward to that. In terms of organizations, it starts at the top, right? So
mm,
whether it's AI adoption, cultural, whether it's how you move that organization forward, the leadership structure,
mm,
it's as high as you can go within the team structure you have control over. So if it's a CEO, that's great. If I'm the COO and it's me and it stops at me, that is what it is, and you
mm,
and you work with it to the best that you can. Um, your key as you as a leader is understanding that you are targeting towards a larger outcome. You're targeting towards it's recognizing that the humanity of the team is super critical, and more as society evolves is going to become more and more pervasive. There will always be the leaders who don't care, and the
Mm,
leaders who will just say, go do task A, don't go do task B, and that's fine.
mm,
And that's a leadership style, and it's a leadership style I choose not to participate in.
mm,
Um, I think anyone that opens their eyes and looks towards the future of where we're going as a society, as a cultural norm, I think will have to introspect and have to find their own version through this in adoption, use of AI, adoption, use of love, adoption, use of vulnerability, and making things and just looking in the mirror. Like I say,
mm.
I don't know if I say it in the book. My first question when I interview anyone is I'm like, when I wake up in the morning, I get to see this pretty face. I don't have a pretty face for those who are listening and not watching. I get to see this pretty face and know what I am and who I am and why I am what I am. I then say to the candidate, so when you get up and you look in the mirror or your significant other looks at you, what do they see? And it flattens the discussion. It turns it
Mm.
away from this prepared Facebook discussion
Yeah.
into a go meet the person, and every leader needs to have their own version of that. Every person who has teams, what's fascinating? It's very rewarding, really, really rewarding, is when I can affect a leader and help them open their eyes through the use of either AI, cultural training, engagement, vulnerability, helping them sort themselves out, getting over their own fear of missing out. It's
Mm.
the toughest thing for a leader is to take the thing they love doing and give it to somebody else who's going to
Yep.
do it
Yep.
less perfectly than they would, and to shut up and allow it
And
to
allow
be
it
done
to
less
happen.
perfectly.
Uh,
Um, um, the most fascinating thing is when that person opens their mind and when they see what then comes to light, and everyone experiences and sees something different. But when they see it, the downstream knock-on effect is dramatic, right? Because if I
mm,
can affect one CEO
mm.
who then affects six executives, who then affect 10 directs, who then affect 10 directs,
Yeah, that's a lot of
the
impact.
multiplication effect is dramatic. And
Mm,
so I always hunt for, I desperately hunt for where's that one person that I can affect. And
mm.
because finding that one person, the downstream knock-on effect is far greater than me trying to superficially affect 10 people.
Yeah,
I'd
because
rather find the one that I can dramatically affect.
yeah, and I think the way human qualities work means that communities have that vibe, don't they? So they're sharing, and therefore the
Yeah.
impact, the potential for impact is already there. So I really like that idea. Um, well, we could go on for hours, but I'm going to be careful of time. Andrew, I'm what is, I mean, given your story today, you could probably choose hundreds of these moments, but what is the most transformative thing you have ever done to date?
At 17 years old, I got tired of what I was experiencing from the teachers and the students, and I decided to run away from boarding school. And I was gone for 2 weeks.
Okay, wow,
That was the start launch trajectory of the change in my life.
wow.
That's where I took all of the pain and everything that I'd experienced prior to that, and I harnessed it into defining how I am me and how I lead and how I work, who I surround myself with, and how I protect people who are facing similar things that I experienced.
Impressive. And off the back of that, Andrew, if you had a final call to action for our listeners who are sitting there thinking about the way they lead, what would it be?
So I'm going to go right back to where we started. Um, in your own beautiful way, in whatever way you're gifted, find out how you can plant your versions of your seeds that will grow trees that you will never sit under or reap any rewards out of, because the life growth that comes out of that is immeasurable.
And I'm holding that silence there on purpose because I want that to sink in and I have nothing to add. Very powerful. Andrew, thank you so much for coming and sharing your insights, your stories, your life story. Where can people find out more about you and what you do?
Yeah, so easiest way is go to andrewbrummer.com and that'll feed you onto my website and all the links onto all the pieces I do there. You can also find me on LinkedIn and then my storytold.ai. If you know of someone, anyone who's got a story that needs to be told and doesn't know how, doesn't know where.
Excellent. I definitely do. I'll be sending quite a lot of people your way. Thank you, Andrew. Thanks for a great conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed this. Thank
Yeah,
you for you, Susie. I
it's
appreciate
been a
what you do.
pleasure. Thank you.